Our first guest is an Academy Award-nominated screenwriter and a very, very talented actor. He currently stars in the critically acclaimed new film, Ulee's Gold. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Peter Fonda. Peter. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I was talking to Peter a second ago, and I mentioned that I had seen the film and I really enjoyed it. And I don't think we're giving anything away when we say that your character keeps bees, is a beekeeper, raises bee, makes honey.
Yeah.
Yeah. And coincidentally, I understand this is something that your father did for a while in his life.
In his later life, he was an Eagle Scout, and that was one of the merit badges, beekeeping. In his later life in Bel Air, I always thought Henry Fonda in Bel Air is an oxymoron. You know, he moved in with chickens and not for their eggs. He made the best compost in the greater Los Angeles area. At any rate, he kept bees. And I never saw him really keeping the bees, but one afternoon I saw him come whooping. I mean, he was jumping around, you know, and he had the full regalia beekeeping outfit on, tied around the ankles, tied around the wrists, big gloves up to here, the full veil and helmet and all. And he thought he had a bee up his trousers. And, you know, it was impossible, but he was sure, of course, there wasn't a bee up his trousers.
Now, did this happen to him frequently or only when he was with the bees?
I don't know.
Because there's a whole different deal there.
Yeah.
And then now, so when you're actually in the film, there are many, many scenes of you actually in there. You have to go after a swarm, I guess, and try and get them back into the hive. And did somebody teach you how to work with the bees, or is it not that tough?
First thing I did was spend some time with beekeepers, people who actually did Tupelo honey, which is what I do in the film.
And Tupelo, now what is it? Of course, we know that as a Van Morrison song.
Yeah, but it's also very special honey, and it only comes from northern Florida, although Tupelo trees grow in many parts of the world. The swamps isolate those trees, and that bloom so much that the bees only work that bloom. And Tupelo honey never crystallizes, ever. And it's got a lot of other great
It's like the
properties.
purest, most high quality. Yeah.
Everything else is called bakery grade.
Yeah. You used that term in the film, and I thought, oh, that's what
now
they're making donuts with. Oh, well, good
I'm
for
with you. I thought it was a great Van Morrison song until I got this film.
Yeah, but you so anyway, you're working with the bees, and you must have been nervous about it. You're worried about getting.
Well, you know, the first day I was a little nervous, but reminded to be calm. Don't wear anything that has scents on it, or smells, or any wild colors. And so I was with these guys barehanded, watching them do, and I would do what they were doing, picking up bees. And you know, I didn't have the full regalia on.
Right.
I just had a helmet and veil.
Just a beginner.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's the setup, right? They're going to set me up with this. This is the sting. and I felt a bee, you know, going up my jeans. And I thought, oh my God. And they call the place they keep the hives, they call it the bee yards. And so I was in the middle of the yard, and this is not requiring fast running. One has to be slow around the bees.
Right.
If you move fast, they sting you.
They get frightened and they attack.
So I've got the bee going up my leg, trying to move out of the bee yard. I'm out of there, you know, and ripping my pants down and pulling them off. And there was no bee.
Runs in the family somehow.
Or that was my father telling me, don't get too cocky.
Yeah.
But the two beekeepers who were with Victor turned to Victor and said, you got the right guy.
You know, I mean, it sounds horrible to have like a bee up your pants or in your shorts, but you know, it's just once it might be fun. You know, just once. You know, Paul? Huh? Give it a try. Just give it a try.
Yeah.
There's so many things to talk to you about. You know, I was reading about you this afternoon. Easy Rider, 1969.
Yeah.
Is that possible, 1969? No. So help me out here. In a couple of years, it will have been 30 years?
30 years in 99 of its release. The next year will be its 30th anniversary of the making of the film.
Yeah, yeah.
We started filming on my 28th birthday.
Oh, my goodness.
And you know, I see people on the street who come, I saw your movie when I was 10 years old. I just finished working with Kurt Russell a while ago and John Carpenter, and I got a got to come up to Kurt and say, you know, I've been watching you since you were 6 years old. You know, because he was in the Disney.
Sure.
You know.
Now, are you going to do another one of those digitally remastered, re-release? Here it is again, at 3 decades later, the way they did with all the Star Wars movies and stuff?
They tried that, but miserably failed.
Yeah.
They didn't do a good job with it. They didn't put it into stereo, number one. They didn't really put anything into doing it. By that time, Columbia had bought the picture back from Pando Company and Raybert, the producers.
Mm-hmm. So when you look at it now, and you've probably seen it dozens of times, I would think. Mm-hmm. When you look at it now, like if you just got up tomorrow morning and watched it, what would be your impression of that now?
I get a very good impression, even though I've seen it so many times. I'll stop by a television set that's going and just watch, waiting for maybe something Jack's going to do because I loved it, you know, or a particular shot that was great. I'm always stopping here. When I hear the music, and all that music was already famous when it was put in they had gone gold with all those songs, basically.
Yeah. And for a lot of people, it sort of coalesced in time and in their minds, images, you know, that are universal, will last forever. So that's a sign of a nice piece of work, I think. Yeah. We have to do a commercial. We'll be right back here with Peter Fonda. Here's part of the family. Look at this. Is that the best-looking family in the world? Of course, there's your father. This is Jane.
Yep.
And there you are. How old are you in that photo?
17.
17. Did you, when you were 17?
Can you understand I'm wearing a tie and a suit and that?
Yeah.
You know, that's how I was taught to fly an aircraft.
Things changed in your life. And when you were 17, you had no idea, of course, that one day you'd grow up and your brother-in-law would be Ted Turner. Just never had any idea. You get along all right with Ted?
Oh, I like Ted.
What kind of guy is Ted when you and your family and Jane and her family are together? And what is that like?
Actually, it's great fun. He's got a very good sense of humor. Mm-hmm. He's hysterical, for that matter.
He's an interesting American character, or I guess icon now, if you can. Yeah. People throw that word around. But he's had a fantastic life, a fascinating life.
Oh, absolutely fascinating. And when Jane started, well, actually, this is funny. If you can think of Jane and Ted on a blind date, right? Talk about oxymorons. But Jane was so nervous, she asked me to fly down from the ranch to be with her when Ted came to pick her up.
I think that's wise. I think that's an excellent idea.
Well, I mean, I love Jane, and I don't want anybody to hurt her at all. So I opened the door and I said, "Hi, Ted. I'm the brother." Yeah.
Now, all I know about Ted now is he owns all of the state of Montana.
A great deal. He's the largest landowner in the United States.
The largest private individual single landowner in the country. Mm-hmm. My goodness. We're on Ted Turner land right now, I believe. I tell you what, we have some interesting footage of you as an early point in your career. You started, I guess, working in theater and then went to television. And I think this is from an early appearance on, do you remember the show?
Oh, yeah. It was my first time on film, let alone television. It was a Naked City.
Naked City.
With Joe Van Fleet, and Martin Sheen and I were the young male ingenues, if that's the right word. And it was very bizarre. One of the high points of the film, very Buñuel-like, Martin and I get beaten up by midgets on Coney Island.
Coney Island. Yeah. What was that word you used, very Buñuel-like?
Buñuel, you know, Luis Buñuel. Viridiana, a very sick, wonderful film.
I think he's
Belle de Jour. Is anybody remember Belle de Jour?
Be here tomorrow night. I think Buñuel is here tomorrow night.
Belle de Jour. Catherine Deneuve.
You're talking to a goat. I don't know what I'm doing.
He used goats well in his movies.
Well, now we're going to see this. So it's early, like
1961.
1961.
I said, give me back my money. You son off little beatnik.
Now, Billy, don't start anything.
Shorty, you know.
Wow. It's been a long, interesting career, hasn't it?
A very long, interesting career, yeah.
And I would think that right now is probably one of the nicest parts of that career. You got this lovely movie opening all across the country, and I hope it does really well for you.
Thank you, Dave.
It was a pleasure meeting you, Peter. Thank you
pleasure.
very much. Peter Fonda. We'll be back with Jonathan Taylor-Thomas. Our next guest is not in that category. He's a very talented actor with an Academy Award nomination, and this year for his fine work in the critically acclaimed film Ulee's Gold. Here he is again, folks, Peter Fonda. Peter, come on. Peter Fonda, you look good.
I feel great.
You know, I watched in that Ulee's Gold, and I thought the world of it. I thought it was a nice, you know what I liked about that film, in addition to your performance, and I thought all of the performances were pretty good, but it was just a very simple, kind of nice, pleasant, not so pleasant story, but pleasantly told. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There were no laser jets from Saturn. You know, there were no huge car chases.
Yeah.
There weren't guys getting. You know, it was just a nice story, simply told. That's the for my money, the beauty
Victor
part.
Nunez, who wrote the story, was very clever of taking around the cliches.
Yeah.
What would have happened if I'd picked that gun up?
Yeah, right.
Then you would have the cliche
different
gunfight
deal, exactly.
instead of kicking it into the swamp.
And it was also, you learned a little bit about honey growers, guys who are beekeepers and stuff.
right.
Yeah, and gold, Ulee's Gold refers to
Tupelo honey.
Tupelo honey, right? And it's made from the certain kind of clover.
Tupelo gum trees, and although they grow around the world, only in the Apalachicola swamp systems are they so isolated from any other bloom that the bees just work that and make the pure Tupelo honey.
It's amazing, isn't it? When you think about it, in this day and age, you know, near the end of the century, with all of the technology available to us, that still, if you want really, really good honey, it's up to the bees.
It's up to the bees. Absolutely right.
That's a nice thing,
And
isn't
they've been doing that for millions of years.
Exactly. And I noticed what happened. You lose the key to the restroom where it's supposed to.
No,
What do you
no,
got
but
there?
I was waiting for you to ask about this because if we're going to start talking about the O word, I'm going to say, here, touch that.
All right,
And
fine.
there you go.
What is that for?
Touch wood, you know.
Oh, so this is.
Yeah.
All right. You've been through this before. You've been nominated. How long ago were you nominated?
I was nominated for my work in '69 as a writer.
As a screenwriter for Easy Writer.
Yeah. Thank you. An honor which I got to share with Dennis Hopper and Terry Southern. So we were both nominated. And Jack was nominated for his role as supporting actor.
Well, this is a very nice thing then for you, isn't it? Because you and Jack then, in that film, in your both nascent stage of your careers, and then now, 30 years later, here we are again.
This is fabulous.
Yeah. And you're in a pretty good group as well, right?
Oh, I mean, to be included with Bobby Duvall, jeepers, who else was there? Dustin Hoffman, Bobby Duvall, Jack Nicholson, of course. And Matt Damon, so he's, I think, 27.
Yeah.
So he's like, I started the cameras rolling on my 28th birthday for Easy Rider.
Yeah, and he's already written, starred in, and been nominated.
Yeah, it's very cool. I'm very.
Now, when you were a young actor, who were these the guys you hung around with then too? Was this pretty much your class? These guys?
Well, I remember beating the pavement in New York when I was 20, a wannabe actor on stage, getting as many readings as I could. And whenever we heard, it's a small group of us, that Bob Duvall was in town, we'd go over to where he was and just sit like acolytes at his feet because we thought he was the coolest.
Yeah.
And now I'm included with this group.
Yeah.
One of my heroes. This is terrific.
His film also is similar to yours in tone and feel, in that it's a very, very kind of quiet, subtle, nicely executed story. A nice small piece of work.
You wrote the story.
Yeah, it's an excellent job. And now, what about your family? In the whole Fonda family, how many nominations, how many awards do we have?
Now we have 12 nominations and 3 awards.
Yeah.
And 1 honorary.
Oh, 1 honorary for your
Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Pretty good.
And there's always Bridget.
Bridget was here, I don't know,
I know,
a few
I
months
watched
ago.
the
I just
show.
felt badly. I felt like, oh, geez, maybe she doesn't feel well, and I just found out that she was very, very nervous.
Absolutely. I mean, with you had warned her about how slippery the
That's
shore.
right, yeah.
So that's why she came in that way. But then I saw you were very nervous.
Well, the whole
too.
thing, I was just scared silly. So if you see her, and likely you will, she's
I will.
your daughter, yeah. Tell her I'm sorry if I frighten her.
I will. I'll be
that's
glad
the
to.
biggest problem we have here. I frighten many of our guests.
No, you
Yeah,
don't.
I frighten them and they don't come back. We don't even know.
That's why
Many of them. Many of them leave show business. Let's show the folks a little bit of the film. Did you know what did you like about this when you said, "Yeah, I'll be in that movie"?
The whole thing you mentioned,
Yeah.
the way it was quietly done, and the fact that we had to have silence have resonance. This is a big challenge for filmmaking and for actors. But what we're about to see, I'm a Florida beekeeper, we know, and now I've found out from my son who's in jail for armed robbery that I have to go rescue my daughter-in-law who's a drug addict, and she has abandoned her 2 children, my grandchildren, with me. And I don't want to have anything to do with her, of course, but I have to go down to Orlando and deal with this lowlife people in order to get her out of there and take her back and get her off drugs.
Yeah. All right, here we go. And again, it's a very restrained, very reserved, very powerful performance. Ulee's Gold. Take a look, kids.
I love this guy.
It's a decent guy trying to do the right thing the best he knows how. And it's a very powerful, I mean, right there you can see that it's a nice piece of work.
I had such a good time doing it, too.
If you win this, it would be good because, you deserve it. But it's also, it would be, what's wrong with you? Stop that. It would be a nice story in addition to the fact that it's well-deserved. It would be a great thing.
I think it's good for the film, and that would be...
Good for the film, good for the movies.
Everybody in that film,
good for the
Victor's,
Fonda family, good for the Fonda legacy, good for everybody.
Absolutely, and then, of course, there's Bridget just right there.
Yeah, it maybe help her get over her trepidation of me.
She was funny about it, though. But I thought it was so cute because both of you seemed to be being
No,
really
it was horrible.
scared.
Just horrible. It was
No,
like
you both were scared.
My
or
darkest hour,
worried.
frankly.
Your dark. Oh, well, I tried this in my office. I tried throwing things backwards, Paul, and nothing shatters.
Nothing happens. No.
Here, toss your hunk of wood through the window. There you go. Well, we'll be pulling for you, Peter. Thank you very much. When you win, come back and see us. Peter Fonda. We'll be right back. I'm just sitting here thinking of something. You know how the longer you think about something, the more some impression becomes more clear to you?
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking that I'll bet you next week you pick up TV Guide, it'll be nothing but that Wolverine.
I know.
Don't you think?
It was scary.
Our next guest is Academy Award-nominated actor who stars in a brand new film entitled The Limey. It opened today. Here's Peter Fonda. Peter.
They said if I want to play with the big guys, I got to dress
You
like
look
the big
good.
guys.
You look damn good. You look like $1 million, my friend.
Pound for pound.
Pound for pound, the best-looking actor on the show. How'd you spend You're no stranger to the wild animals. You spend a lot of your time just roaming around in Montana. Is that right?
Yeah, right. In fact,
What'd you do this summer? Were you out hunting and fishing and stuff?
I was out on the hustings, as it were.
Uh-huh.
This year, I've spent more time talking about a film than I did 30 years ago.
Oh, sure. Yeah, this is the big 30-year anniversary. Is
Yeah,
that what
exactly.
it is? Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, 1969, 1999. Yeah. That's how that works. Yeah. Easy Rider, of course.
Pop the class. Letting all that fur and spittle settle.
and you ride, you spend a lot of time on a bike, don't you?
I like to ride. In fact, if I don't do like a 3,000-mile ride, just one ride for 3,000 miles,
Wow.
I don't think I've had a complete year.
And where do you go when you set out to do a 3,000-mile ride? You
Well,
just
I'll
coast to
leave my...
coast?
No, I'll leave my ranch, for example, and I'll ride down the western side of the divide. I take a 7-piece hardy flying fishing.
Oh, yeah.
rod and a reel and a box of flies and tippets. And I go up every little canyon finding different places to fly.
So you work
fish.
your way down the
Go
continent?
all the way down towards the
Central
Mexican
America?
border, turn around, come back up the east
Really?
side.
Down to the Mexican border? You go that far? And then back up the east side. What about your loved ones? How do you stay in contact with your loved ones?
Hello?
Oh, take the cell phone with you.
Yeah.
Now, do you camp out? Do you have motels?
I'd sometimes camp out because I will not ride at dusk.
Yeah.
In 1993, I hit a deer at night on my motorcycle coming back from Sturgis.
Yeah. Oh, my
And
goodness.
It just, I don't want to do that again.
What kind of
Talking about fur and spittle, And pound for pound at 55 miles an hour.
what kind of bike was the deer riding? tried 3 times to get that lame joke in there. What kind of bike do you have?
I have Harley Davidson, Indians, and custom bikes.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun, isn't it?
I have a lot of fun.
Yeah. And when you fish, it's all catch and release, isn't
It's all catch and release.
it? So you can't really have a little campfire there by the side of the river and do your zzz, and then catch them and put them in a pan and fry them up.
No, if I wanted to, I could, but for me, it's actually catching them. If my wife wants to have a trout to cook, I'll bring one home.
Now, how long are you on the road here when you do that 3,000-mile trek up and down the divide?
That's a good week and a half, 2-week run.
Yeah. What is it? Tell me the difference between life on the western side of the divide and life on the eastern side of the divide. Climatologically, it's a different deal?
Well, most different in my case is the fact that west of the divide, I can't get the oatmeal stout that I want. East of the divide, I can get it all the way to the Atlantic coast.
You talking about beer? Is that what you're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We can't say the name of it because it would be plugging the product unless they're willing to send us.
Be my guest. That's why I got into show business.
I thought it was for the fur and spittle.
But now, Peter, the west side of the continental divide, everything flows to the Pacific.
Everything.
The east, everything flows to the Atlantic.
And yes, I'm just north of it. It runs right through Yellowstone Park.
Right.
So literally, you could be on one side and relieving yourself, and you know that's going to go in the Pacific. And
That's the kind of thing you do, then. Is that what you're saying? Well, you're not a naturalist at all, for heaven's sakes. But now,
wait a minute. Oh yeah. I step in it.
Isn't there a place in North America where to the west it goes to the Pacific, to the east it goes to the Atlantic, and to the north it goes to the Arctic Ocean? Or am I dreaming?
Canadians. It goes to the Canadians.
It goes to the Canadians.
Yeah.
I may have the wrong notes. Let's talk about the Limey. Boy, what a creep job this thing is. It's you and Terrence Stamp.
Yep. Terrence plays Wilson the Limey, and I play Terry.
He's coming after you.
He's coming after me. He finds out that I had something to do with the death of his daughter, and so Terrence plays the Limey, and I play the Slimy. I'm Terry Valentine. I play a record producer from the late 60s, early 70s, very successful. And now we find out
it's a pretty good movie. It's got a really nice kind of evil excitement about it, doesn't it?
That's really cool. Evil excitement.
Yeah.
That beats Fern Spittle, that's for sure.
Oh, I'm a regular wordsmith, my friend.
I know you are. You notice I did not bring the block of wood.
Okay, let's take a look at a clip from the movie.
Terry Valentine.
That's you. And of course, Buddy Mora. Opens today, huh?
Oh, it opened today. I was there. I counted the house. We're doing great.
Good for
Love
you.
it. Absolutely.
Good for you. Get right back on your bike.
Absolutely.
Good to see you again. Peter Fonda, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back.